Okay, there we go.
There
We're
we
good.
go. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to this week's episode of Decoding Your Superpowers. I'm Teresa Lisum, and I'm here with my friend and fellow coach.
Linda Karchner.
And we have a delightful surprise today. We have Linda's husband, Bryan. So, welcome, Bryan. We're so glad you're here.
My
This
favorite
is
client.
it is really exciting and eye-opening when you know your significant other's strengths line up. It
Yeah.
just gives you a common language, it gives you an understanding and appreciation of who they are, why they do what they do. And it
Helps us
just
to
gives
be a
so
little
much
bit
more
more patient
clarity.
with each other.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I just think that more forgiving, more, accepting. There's just so many positives to understand each other's strengths. So
Mhm.
good for you guys. I applaud you for doing that because not everybody's spouse is willing to take the assessment and
Right.
dig into it. So
Mhm.
any couple who is willing to do that, you're ahead of everybody else. So I applaud
Ahead
you
of the
for
game.
that. So we're going to dig into Bryan's report. I am going to go ahead and share my screen as soon as I find it again. Here we go. hmm You
There we
guys
go.
seeing it?
There he is. Yep.
Okay. So we are going to take a look at this and we're going to ask Bryan whether to confirm or deny what we're picking up just based on this third party assessment results, which is uncannily on point. I would say 100% of the time, maybe 96, 97% of the time. I
Yeah.
think, in my experience. How about you, Linda?
I think what happens is if there's resistance or hesitation with a particular strength, it's because the person may not understand it
Mm-hmm.
or how it
Mm-hmm.
applies to their life, like how they live that out. Maybe it just comes so naturally to them that they're like, oh, how can that even be a strength?
Yes. Yeah.
Or just so like, the Gallup definitions, the Clifton strength definitions maybe are a little fuzzy for them.
Mm-hmm.
But once they sort of sit with it for a while and
Yep.
get to know that strength better, usually people are like, oh yeah, I guess that is me.
Yes. And that happened for me. So I can
Mhm.
speak from experience. So yes, that
Yeah.
is true, what you just said. And it
Hmm.
also, since we're all unique and there's nobody else on the planet like us, it's all how your strengths are related to each other, where
Hmm.
they're at, which ones are high, which ones are lower, which ones are next to each other. So they're all playing together in a slightly different way,
Yeah.
even though you can have similar strengths. Like me and Linda both have a
Mhm.
couple, we have what, three or four common strengths. There might be a
We
few
have
more.
quite a few in our
Very
top
similar.
10, and our
Yeah.
bottom five are the exact same strengths, but in a different order.
Right.
Like,
So
so it's,
similarities, but
yeah.
yet we're different. Our
Hmm.
life
Hmm.
plays out differently. So
Hmm.
that's always interesting as well.
Yeah.
And so what I have is I have Bryan's report up here. Thank you for sharing it, Bryan. We appreciate you being open with us.
Sure.
Linda has kindly counted up everything for us, so we don't have to do that. But if you've been following us for a while, the first thing we do is we count up the colors basically of the
Hmm.
top 10. The top 10 are your zone of genius. It's
Hmm.
where you shine, you're most energized, you're most productive, you're most creative. I like to think that's where you're most your authentic self is when you're operating out of those top 10. The bottom five are not weaknesses, they're just not energizing to you.
Right.
They're not serving you. They're almost where you're inauthentic and maybe a little bit off, like everybody's like feels like you're off kilter a little bit.
Yeah,
And
you feel
anything,
awkward, and other
yes.
people around you feel awkward when
Mm-hmm.
you try and force yourself to be these things that are in the,
Right.
the bottom five strengths. And in our culture, we try to say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You
Mm-hmm.
need to work on your weaknesses. You need to improve what's low. But really, what happens when people try to do that, they become mediocre at best. So
Yes,
they've
yes,
wasted all that
exactly.
time and energy trying to be the the balconies, we call it, of those bottom strengths, and it just ends up being awkward, feels forced,
Yes,
and
yes.
inauthentic, like you said. So it
And
just behooves us to focus on our top five and honing them. I mean, top
top
10
top
rather.
10, yes.
Yeah.
And the top five, that's an option you have when you go
Hmm.
take the Gallup assessment. Pay to have all 34 unlocked.
Hmm.
It's going to give you a whole bigger picture. That's a whole
Hmm.
lot better. We're just
Yeah.
throwing that out there. It'll
Right.
cost a little bit more money, but in the long run, it's cheaper that way.
Definitely.
So thank you for that. And I was going to say one other thing about that, but it'll come back to me.
Hmm.
So you can see it's all color coded. We just color or add up the colors. Each strength falls into one of these categories on the right here. And then the one that has the most strengths in it, that's your dominant domain. That is strongest for you. So, Bryan, you are strongest as an executor, an
Executor.
executing. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Executing. I mean, I've
Yeah.
said
Not
that word
not
multiple.
executioner.
That could be, depending on the day.
Right.
So that means you like to do,
Hmm.
make list, take
Hmm.
action. Is that true for you?
I don't know. Being up since 3 o'clock this morning, does that count?
Possibly. Were you taking action all that time?
Yep.
He
Well, then
was.
yes. Yeah. So yeah, that would confirm, I guess. Now,
Hmm.
my question is, since you have three relationship building strengths and three strategic, that's a really even split. So you have a secondary and actually a third dairy, third dairy domain. But between that relationship building and that strategic thinking, I'd like to kind of figure out which one kind of shows up first for you. So, of course, relationship building is connecting with other people, and that's important to you, and you want to connect with the right people. And then strategic thinking is thinking, planning, time spent in your head, learning, researching. So, which one tends to pop up before the other one?
Definitely strategic thinking.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm guessing too, but you can maybe just kind of roll between all of these very easily, whereas some people cannot. You can connect, you can think, and it's very easy for you to flow from one to the other. Whereas
Right.
somebody who might be really, really dominant in relationship building, such as me and Linda, it might be a little harder to make that transition.
I think my job has influenced that.
Hmm.
Or have your strengths influenced how you do your job?
Good question.
Well, like being a minister, you have to have relationships with people.
Hmm.
And so, like, looking at retirement, what I'm thinking at this point is writing. So that's very energizing because I don't have to have relationships with people other than what I have. So, um, so like the executing and the thinking,
Hmm.
those are definitely more energizing than the relationship building.
Hmm. I think
And I've always wondered this, and somebody else I remember brought this up a couple of times. which one came first, the chicken or the egg? Is your job what led you to these strengths, or did your strengths lead you to the job? Or do you learn these to hone these particular strengths in the context of your job? So I think they're really woven together, and I really don't have an answer to that. I don't know if you heard that, Linda, or not, but
Yeah, I mean, that is the question. CliftonStrengths hesitates to like pinpoint this strength goes with this job,
mm,
because the whole premise is that um, we have our passions, we have our interests, we have our things that we're drawn to, and that our strengths could play a part in that. Um, but we we fulfill our passions in our own unique way because of our strengths.
mm,
And the people who do the best at their jobs are people who live fully in their strengths,
and I would say aligned with their strengths.
aligned with their strengths.
Aligned
Yeah,
with their
that's a
strengths.
good
And
way
I
to
would
say it.
guess that those who are not relishing the role they're in their job or their career, maybe is really stressful for them, those particular people might not be in alignment with their strengths and that particular job. Again, that's just my opinion. I can't confirm that or not, but just how that's what I would think. If you're in a job that does not align with your strengths, then it's going to be stressful and possibly de-energizing.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like as I reflect back, that that definitely is true. That like even though I have relationship building strengths, it doesn't come naturally. Like I
Mm,
would rather execute or think than build relationships.
mm.
So, um,
But they
yeah,
do have some relevance for you. But what's interesting, and I know Linda has mentioned this before, you do have Relator sitting
Right,
at number two.
right. So
And as a pastor, a minister who interacts with people on a regular basis,
yeah,
that could be a stressor on you as a relator. Not to diminish the people and the relationships that you're involved with, but like you said, that's kind of like your least favorite domain. But with the relator, that is a person who prefers a really small, close-knit, intimate group of people where you can be yourself and you all trust each other, and there's just this really deep connection within that smaller group.
I
Is
think
that
a
what
lot of times we assume that a relationship builder loves to be around a lot of people
mm-hmm,
and is
mm-hmm.
energized by being around a lot of people. But connecting with the right people is what's crucial.
Yeah.
And especially someone who has a relator high. It is a small inner circle and it's deep relationships. It's not a mile wide and an
Mm-hmm.
inch deep. It's a mile deep and an inch wide for someone who's a relator. They relate to a small group of trusted inner circle people, and they have the depth of relationships that a lot of people envy
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they're like, oh, you have these close friendships, and Bryan has a few close friends, and it's been hard because he you know everybody wants that depth of relationship with him, but he can't give that to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
it's just not humanly possible, and specifically for him as
Hmm.
a high relator. So, he is a relationship builder. And then, I mean, he has a relationship building strength sitting at number 5, which we
Yeah.
call,
Yep. Yep.
are like our anchor strength. So, but it's also kind of individualization. It's also like a small group of people kind of thing. Like it's a one-on-one kind of thing.
That's a good point.
It's seeing when someone is a round peg and knowing that they fit in that round hole. So being able to talk one-on-one with someone, going deep with them, not just superficial stuff, but going deep with them, is how his relationship builder shows up. And also connectedness, like bringing people together, building bridges, making connections that um, maybe the average person doesn't make, because he
Hmm.
sees how this individual and this individual can work together, and he can make those connections. So, it's not relationship building like loving to be around a lot of people, but relationship building in your own way is still relationship building.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for that. Bryan, what's your thoughts on that?
Yes.
Short and sweet and to the point.
Right?
Well, like one of the struggles with like hospital visitation is like, I don't mind going to the hospital, blood and guts, all that stuff. That doesn't bother me. But just kind of having, I don't want it to sound wrong, superficial conversations. Like you're not going
Mhm.
to get into anything deep when
Yeah,
somebody's having a crisis of some kind,
right.
usually a health crisis.
Hmm.
Um, so like just that small talk and all that, that that drives me buggy.
Well,
I
and
would
that,
much
It's
rather have
draining.
a deeper conversation with
Hmm.
somebody about more lasting things.
yeah, that's your intellection that wants that. Your
Oh yeah.
intellection strength at number 10 is craving that. That's
Hmm.
the strength that loves that deep, rich,
Hmm.
nuanced conversation. So, yeah, we can totally relate with that.
Hmm. Yeah, and if you look at his bottom strengths, Wu is at 33.
Hmm.
And so, that has made it a challenge for him, like, because that's that kind of breezing into a situation, and making small talk, and being able to chit chat and kind of keep it more superficial, and be at ease with that. Like that comes easily to someone who has Wu up higher. And
Hmm.
that's just, that's just not where he's at. So I think in retirement, not having to be in those situations, I think that will be helpful for him, to not have to go to, though in those kinds of scenarios. So.
And I'd like to really touch on that individualization at number 5.
Mhm.
So, Bryan, in terms of when you are interacting with people, you don't prefer the small talk. You prefer maybe focusing on that person in front of you and being present for that person and really meeting them where they're at right at that moment in time.
Yeah, 100%. So like when like I not that I force myself, but I know it's important. So especially on Sunday morning, I try to touch as many people as I can.
Mhm.
And if it's a 5-second conversation or if it's 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
um, I want people to feel like they're the most important person in the room.
I love
So,
that.
um, so yeah, so that
Thank you.
that really ties into to that. And I've always been like one of the nice things about the strengths report is there are things that have been consistent through your life that you really haven't had a chance to put a label on. Like for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, I was always the person that people came to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And one, I think it's because I'm a good listener, but two, I think it's because of individualization, because,
Mm-hmm.
I care about people, but I also, if you're being stupid, I'm going to say sometimes in a nice way and sometimes not a nice way, depending how many times we've had the conversation. You're being stupid and you need to stop. You need to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, you know, it's frustrating for me when people know what they need to do, but then continue to do stupid stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm going to just consider that that was your number 12 command talking right there.
Yeah, I was thinking that
Possibly.
too.
Like you're not going to be afraid to, like you said, call them out
Right.
and really get them to think like, oh, like reconsider. Possibly your responsibility too. So
Hmm.
even though those are outside that top 10 zone of genius, many of us, probably all of us, we kind of tap into those next couple of strengths as well. Sometimes it's just easier to focus on the top 10, but definitely those other ones just outside the top 10 will come into play as well. Not too much outside of those top 10, maybe 11, 12, 13, but everything beyond that is just kind of like, neutral.
Hmm.
So it sounds like instead of woo and includer, which is at your bottom five, you're using your individualization
Hmm.
and your intellection and your even maybe your connect and maybe even learner to learn about the person in front of you. So I can see a combination of strengths from your top 10 being used instead of anything from that bottom five.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify. I mean, like, I'm not a jerk about it. Like,
No,
when
we're
people
not
come and
insinuating
like
that.
the first probably three times that I would meet with somebody, I show a ton of grace. But like kind of beyond that, I kind of lose my patience, and because my time is valuable, their time is valuable. And if you're not going to do, like, if you keep coming with the same problem,
Yeah.
uh, I can't help you because you're not going to do what I said anyway. So,
Right. And it's like you said, it's your time is important as well. So so let's kind of look at your this idea of coming close to an end of retirement this year and see what we can maybe just offer in terms of using your strengths to help you kind of make some decisions or follow a path or get a starting point. So I got some ideas together. I'm just going to throw them out there, not in terms of anything specific, but just some concepts and just tell me what you think about these. So you're naturally a deep thinker and you generate a lot of ideas. So whatever you do in your retirement might, you know, honor the fact that you want to think deeply. You want to make considerations and pay attention to the obstacles. So in terms of planning, that might be. So, and I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of throwing out things. So I don't know how that really fits together, but I'm still going to keep going. So you're going to want to probably keep that learning going because you love to learn. Learning is important to you. So continually growing, either yourself or helping someone else. Understanding people in a meaningful way. Again, that's your relator and your individualization, which we already spoke about. Living with purpose and value. So something that's going to pull you forward, that's purposeful and aligns with your beliefs and your values. This might be very important to you. And then to honor your restorative, which is sitting there at number 7, improving, refining. I'm going to say fixing, but sometimes that's Some people don't always like that word when it's connected with restorative.
Mm.
So I'm just, any of those resonate with you. Again, they're very broad, very conceptual, but
Well, everybody asks you, yeah, I think there's some really good thoughts. Everybody asks you this question: what are you going to
Do.
do?
do. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Nobody has ever asked me the question, what are you going to be?
I love that.
Mm.
So one of
Or
the
who are
things
you going to be? Yeah.
yeah, one of the things I learned from my wife, because she's way better at this than I am, is she's a better beer than I am. So I can see my ideation and my intellection tying into just enjoying the moment, enjoying the season,
Mm.
taking some time to be, not being so driven, not feeling the need to produce or the next thing, whatever the next
Mm,
thing is. So um, that's why we're taking 3 months to go somewhere warm and just be. So,
and reflect. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's beautiful.
I think probably, I mean, he's tried to do this his whole life, but like using his restorative for himself
Mm,
to be able to kind of identify where he's struggling, broken, tired, depleted, and being able to get filled back up
mm,
because his job is emotionally and spiritually
mm,
and it's not physical, it's not swinging a hammer or
mm,
digging a ditch, but it's definitely spiritually, emotionally, and mentally draining.
mm,
And so just being able to identify where some areas where he needs to be restored
I love
and
that.
and out of that growth, like he said that he would like to write. He did write one book and he has another one brewing in there.
Ooh,
So to be able to take time to do that, and that all that ideation can,
yep, yep.
because it's
Popping those
not being
ideas.
expended on other things, it'll start popping out, I think,
Oh, yeah.
when the time is right.
Yep. So, Brian, you have ideation at number one there.
Mhm.
Pop, 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 ideas, ideas, ideas. Is that true for you? Always going through your head?
yep.
Yeah. So maybe really leverage that when it comes to thinking about retirement, who you want to be in retirement. But then as an executor, that is a doing, doing, doing domain.
Mhm.
So maybe the action will be helpful to you. So, reflect because of your strategic thinking, reflect, think, plan, but then you might have to put some things into action and see where that goes. What's
Mhm.
your thoughts, Linda?
Yeah, I think that even when he's not physically doing, his brain is still
Yeah. Yeah.
working and planning, and I think that he he won't be for too long, but however long he needs
Yeah.
to be able to restore.
I love that. And allow the brain to
Hmm.
think and,
Hmm.
you know, consider possibilities
Hmm.
and allow those ideation thoughts to just go where they want to go.
Right.
And then, but I really think the action is going to
Hmm.
be helpful as well. So once you have that time to, I don't
Hmm.
know why I'm doing this, like I'm indicating it's
Yeah.
happening in your head.
Your brain is working.
Yes.
Ideation.
So your mind is going to want to play with it and percolate, as I like to say.
Hmm.
Let things marinate and then decide on maybe a few paths or options and just try them. Just take the action. The action itself might help you find a path over time. And it's
Mhm.
not something you have to jump right into, as we already kind of
Just
said. Take your
kind of
time.
wander. What's that saying? All those who wander are not lost.
Right,
So he
right.
won't be lost. That wouldn't be his thing, but he, might just need to wander on the beach for a little bit. He
Yeah,
loves to
again,
do
and
that.
with the brain going, with the brain going.
Yep. Let the brain flow and
So, what's your thoughts, Brian, on like mentoring small groups of people, maybe with a commonality or something?
Um, yeah, I think that would, nothing is off the table at this point.
mm,
I've lived in such a state of depletion,
There that
that,
is.
um, the restorative is, I need to be restored first,
I
and
love
then kind
that.
of see what happens when we
mhm,
flow, uh, live out of the overflow
Mm.
rather than, depletion.
I love
yeah.
that. So
And
honor that restorative strength.
hmm
yeah, and the the fellow that will be replacing me, we're actually calling out of the congregation, so we already have a relationship established, and that will
hmm
continue.
hmm
Um, so yeah, there's going to be opportunity for that moving
hmm
Mm,
forward.
great. And I'm looking at that connectedness too at number
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Allow things to unfold and trust the process. Trust you'll be led
hmm
down the path or paths, or opportunities will appear for you. And, that connectedness strength is all about trusting that and believing that everything happens for a reason.
hmm hmm
So, really allow that maybe to come forward. Because, like you said, maybe this restorative strength for turning it towards you has been kind of on the back burner. You never really let it come forward and work on you personally. Maybe that connectedness might be invited to come forward as well and allow it to do
hmm
its magic for you
hmm
personally instead of on somebody else.
Yeah, good.
Hmm. Let's see like I said, the learning. I love you're always going to want to be learning. Always, always. There's probably, yeah, you probably have a couple of books that you're going to take with you or something like that, or listening to some
He has
audios or something.
so many books. Yeah, I think that one of the things about Lerner that has made him a good pastor is learners love to teach. They love to
Hmm.
share what they learned. And he's a very practical with his ideation. He just talks to people like they're people and uses concepts and examples and metaphors that hit home. So, he's just been able to teach and communicate in a way that I think people have learned.
Mm.
So he likes to be able to share that. And I think that's what writing will be. Um, Another opportunity for him to teach, but without
Brian?
the drain of face to face with people.
Right.
What do you
Brian,
think?
yeah, is that spot on for you, or what's your
Yep.
feedback on that?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to. I mean,
Mhm,
I enjoy Sunday morning, but
mhm,
it's it is very draining, de-energizing. Um, and I mean, um, it's that balance, that hard balance that, yes, I enjoy it, but usually Sunday afternoon and at least Monday morning, I'm just completely mentally, physically, spiritually, um,
drained.
Yep,
emotionally drained.
I'm sure. I am sure because you're like going against your relator,
Hmm.
and it is draining for you.
Hmm.
So just knowing and having an awareness that you need to replenish and recharge after Sundays. But then once you're retired, then that might not be an issue as much. It might step more in the background. But I love that you have that awareness around it and you honor that. And because not everybody does that.
Hmm.
Some people just keep on going and going and going and going until the universe slaps something up in front of them like, oh, wait, you got to stop, and
Hmm.
not so gentle of a way. Just some other thoughts like maybe taking classes, traveling on like learning. They have those trips where you go and learn stuff. That might be something. I love the whole idea of taking classes, maybe leading a class, a small class,
Hmm.
small. You got any thoughts, Linda? And we're probably going to have to wrap it up here in a minute or two.
Yeah. I guess just the one thought that kind of went through my mind that we really talked about is, um, maybe his executing strengths need to just take a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, yeah,
And even though he leads with executing, uh, those other strengths in his top 10, there's a reason that they're there, and maybe some time to focus a little bit more on them. Um, just to give the executing a little bit of a break.
yeah. I love that. And maybe, Brian, learning about some of these strengths because not all of them come forward on a regular
Mhm.
basis. I know I have certain ones that are always there and they're always
Mhm.
working for me and they're somewhat dominant in terms of how I use them. They're my default ones that I always go to. So
Mhm.
every once in a while, I have to remember to invite the other ones forward and let them do their thing and help me through something. So maybe the suggestion might be, or the invitation might be to, dig into your report, look at some of these, like focus. How can you leverage focus in this new phase of life? How can you leverage that connectedness that I already spoke about? How can you leverage deliberative, which is really strong?
Mhm. Oh, don't worry, he's got that one down pat.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe Linda can help you figure out which ones have, like we talked about, restorative. Bring that forward and
Yeah.
let it work for you, leverage it.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
sometimes these strengths, well, I don't want to say sometimes, most of the time, they're so easy and natural and they just flow from us and we don't think twice about them. But if
Mhm.
you think about them with intention and use them with intention, then, something else might materialize or something else might come up for you that would not have happened if you hadn't let that or that combination of strengths come forward.
Mhm.
So just really understanding you don't have to do all of them, just one every once in a while or
Mhm.
whatever, not like me and Linda where we're always
Right. Obsessed.
digging in, like we could probably, and that's been suggested by our mentor, do one a week and
Mhm.
focus on that one and see how it's popping up in your day-to-day life and see how you can leverage it with more intention. I mean, so that is an idea, but like I said, not everybody wants to do that like we probably
But everyone should.
would. And that's our judge. At least I'm a judgy. I'm high judgy. So yeah, you should. Because
Right.
so any other thoughts, Brian? Has this been helpful? Has this given you some new ideas? Has this fed your ideation strength in any way?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is like I always thought of restorative as like more physical.
Mhm.
Mm,
So, like buying a rundown beach house and restoring it. But I
yeah,
never
yeah.
really thought about um, like taking time to basically restore my soul.
Mhm.
Mm,
And
mm,
and that's like that's what I'm wanting to do, but I didn't ever put it that way.
Mhm.
So that's super helpful.
Mhm.
I love that. I just want to, I just quickly went to the restorative, um, Linda, in the GPUs and bring things back to life, making them strong again. So, yeah, turn it on yourself, bring yourself back to fullness and to life, and maybe enthusiasm for something you might not have been enthusiastic about before.
Mhm.
So yeah, restorative. It was in my original report, and I struggled with that one. I did not understand it. I didn't see myself
Mhm.
as it,
I
something
remember
that
you
was
saying
me,
that.
and so I really had to lean into that and learn it and understand it. So
Mhm.
that might be a good one for you to explore right off the bat in some
Mhm.
depth. Yeah, for something for all of us to remember.
Yeah.
Use our strengths for ourselves, not
Mhm.
just for other people. I mean, they are gifts for other people that
Mhm.
we're here to give to the world, but to focus them on ourselves is the little bit tricky part, I think,
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
so again, any other thoughts before we wrap it up? I know we want to thank you so much, Bryan, for being here. This has just been a delight.
Happy to do it.
And I'm sure we could probably talk for another hour. At least me
Yeah.
and Linda could. So, any other thoughts, Linda, from you?
I think that's it. Just kind of just looking at his bottom strengths. One of the things that he struggled with is maximizer because it's low for him. And one of the things that we had a realization about one Saturday morning when we had some time to sit and talk and we looked at his strengths, and he realized that maximizer's low for a reason, and the church is at a good place. It's solid, and taking it to that next level is not what energized him.
Mm,
It's not energizing for him. And so, it just so happens that it's the right time for him to retire and someone else to come in and take the church to the next level. And it's reassuring that we have someone who also knows his strengths, um,
mm,
and will be able to do things differently because it's time. And
mm.
so it's time for him to move on. It's sad, it's bittersweet,
Oh, I'm sure it is.
but
I'm sure it is.
it's
Yeah,
it's the it's the right time.
good. And let somebody else with
Yeah,
maximizer jump in there
that's right. Yeah.
and use it. And then trust
Yeah.
that connectedness again. Trust
Mhm.
that this is the right time and it's all going to work out. And the
Mhm.
right person has been brought in. And
Mhm.
yeah, just really allow that to um, come and reassure you
Mhm.
with, yeah, because that's a strength for a reason.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you so
very
much
good.
again, Bryan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you to everybody who's been listening
Yeah.
in. If you
Hopefully everyone
have
enjoyed it.
a result, a strengths report that you'd like us to dig into for a particular reason, as in this case, it was for retirement. If you have another area of your life that you'd want to see how your strengths can be used there, please connect with us. We'd love to help you out. We can bring you on, or we'll just talk about you without you here. But we love having people here to help with some feedback. But I
Hmm.
do want to put up my little sign,
Great.
subscribe, share, comment. Please make a comment. Let us know what you thought of this episode. And we will sign off for now, and we'll see you the next time. Thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
Bryan. Thank you, Linda. Thank you,
Thanks for
everybody.
joining us.
Bye.
And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.